Hello and welcome back to Speed Duels card reveals and reflections. So, we previously talked about the full set list. I've improved my audio quality since then, and hopefully it shows. But here are the skill cards. We don't know what the skill cards have on the back, so if they have any stipulations, we don't know them yet. But considering that Konami showed them off like this, I'd assume that none of them have any major stipulations. Let's get started. So, Sky God Revelation, when a level 10 monster with question mark attack is normal summoned to your field, each player can draw until they have 6 cards in hand. Insane effect. You will think of Arcana Triumph Joker. You will think of Slifer the Sky Dragon. And those are the only two valid targets. Uriah, Lord of Searing Flames, is a monster with question mark attack, but wait, no, Uriah has zero attack. Regardless, you reveal one Slifer. So what they're doing here is they're reinventing the extra deck. Basically, if you draw a high level monster when you don't want it, it won't be in your hand. And if you draw a high level monster, when you draw a monster that you don't need, you can just pitch it to get your high level monster. So here, reveal one Slifer in your hand, place them in the bottom of the deck, then draw one card. Once per duel, discard one card, then add Slifer the Sky Dragon from your deck to your hand. I'm going to be calling these the poor person's extra deck from now on. The other skill is really powerful for Dark Magicians. The only issue is that Dark Magician doesn't really have a great offensive lineup of spells and traps, but I think it's good enough to get the job done. Thousand Knives will do it, and so will Legion to search your Dark Magician. And then we know from last time, Magic Revo has been added to the Dark Magician deck. So Dark Magician gains Cyber Dragon Summon Condition, which is your opponent controls a monster you don't, special summon Dark Magician, or Dark Magician Girl if... I don't know, I don't think there's any Dark Magician Girl support in... other than Sage's Stone in this set, or in Speed Duels in general. Once per duel, while you control a monster whose original name is Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl, you can add one Dark Magician or one card that mentions it from your deck to your hand. We might be doing a tier list later, but for now we'll just be talking about these cards in a kind of invisible fashion of one, to think about their utility in pre-constructed, and one to think about it in constructed. So these both read insane. Special summoning Dark Magician, 2500 attack, is amazing. And yeah, just you can clean up duels real quick. You can put a lot of pressure with it. And then Sky God Revelation is not remotely as strong of a skill. I'll just say that much. Moving on. Fear of the Dark and Malevolence of the Millennium Ring. So, Fear of the Dark basically copies Dark Sanctuary's effect. If you have Dark Necrofear, your Destiny board pieces are unaffected, and you can special summon Spirit Message cards onto your field in addition to your spell trap zones in order to fulfill your win condition. But they must be normal monsters that are not affected by opponents, nor do they block attacks. And then also you can extra deck your Spirit Messages by revealing in your hand, placing it in a bottom of the deck, and then drawing a card. This is a very difficult win condition to access because you need to devote 5 field zones. So you only have room for a field spell that could potentially stop an attack. I don't think there's a single field spell that does anything like that. And one monster to block attacks, or one spell to hold them off. Swords can potentially buy you 3 turns. Dark Necrofear will be a 2800 defense monster. I don't think either of those are very good for defending you for very long, but it could end in a situation where you are suffering because it's just so bad to play. Malevolence of the Millennium Ring. Once per turn, if you control a Fiend monster, you can activate one of these skills. Send a Fiend monster from your deck to your graveyard. Lose LP equal to its original level times 200. Discard a Fiend monster. Lose LP equal to its original level times 200. Just then draw one card. So right now, one thing that we have are a lot of revival spells. Premature Burial, Monster Reborn. They've just been added, and they're so huge. As for using this with a Fiend synergy, Dark Necrofear is a good card, but I don't think it's so good that you want to be able to run a skill that only does Foolish Burial. Especially if you have to pay LP for it. So, both of these enable strategies that I don't think can be very successful. Moving on. Executive Privilege. Obelisk the Tormentor becomes an extra deck card. It can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. So, we've seen this before with the Paradox Brothers skills, in fact. And, well, the difference is that you must reveal Obelisk the Tormentor and Blue Eyes White Dragon in your hand. Both of them, and then draw 2 cards. This is a far worse skill. And in general, it doesn't enable you to summon Obelisk. It basically struggles to increase your consistency just because you need to draw two specific monsters. I don't really like this skill very much. And then the other skill is really good. During your main phase, you can tribute summon 1 Blue Eyes White Dragon by tributing 1 tribute summon monster, in addition to your normal summon or set. You can discard 1 spell, then apply one of these skills. You can only use each of these skills once per duel. If you control Blue Eyes White Dragon, Raigeki your opponent's board, and Blue Eyes White Dragon can't attack. And you can fusion summon Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, and it's unaffected by opponent's card effects until the end of the turn. Both of these skills are also largely unremarkable. I don't think they can push the needle for Blue Eyes. And they don't really help the Blue Eyes deck that currently exists with Dragon Caller, so that's not fantastic. And there are fantastic things with Dragon Caller because now we have King of Deep. So you will be potentially going back to a skill that was released like 2 years ago if you want to play Blue Eyes. And yeah, unaffected Blue Eyes Ultimate, does no damage if it attacks a set monster. Now we have some interesting skills. As I predicted in Keeper of the Valley, so during your draw phase, you may look at the top 2 cards of your deck, add 1 to your hand, send the other to the graveyard. This is what Crystal Seer wishes it could be. And if you do skip your next battle phase, like a Runic, and you get to play with the errata version of Exchange of Spirit, pre-errata version of Exchange of Spirit, and you have 15 more cards in your grave, you can banish 1 Exchange of the Spirit to activate its effect. So the 1,000 life point cost is actually pretty significant in Speed Duel. Being able to skip it entirely is really good. And yeah, you'll be refilling your opponent's deck with Medora, and you will be looking at 15 cards in your graveyard, and you will try to win the game off of that. This will power through your deck really fast alongside Gravekeeper's Trap. Extremely potent skill in theory. I'm just not sure how it matches up against the removal that is being added and is currently present in the format. Once per, you can discard 1 card, add 1 spell trap that mentions Necro Valley from your GY to your hand. Apply the following skill. Your graveyard is unaffected by Necro Valley. So there are a lot of powerful Monster Reborns, Premature Burials. Those are very good skills. I'm just not sure if Necro Valley is so useful because not a lot of cards do things like that. Now, when we look at the cards that this card can return to your hand, we're actually not looking at a particular set of winners. Like, there's Grave of Estelle, there's Hidden Temples, and there's Rite of Spirit. These are not cards that are fantastic, so you might be using it mostly for the second effect. You might not. I don't see too much value in this skill. Now, moving on to our next character. Last time we talked about how Joey was probably the strongest duelist in the Streets of Battle City box, so he has a lot to live up to. All warrior monsters you control gain 1,100 attack for each warrior you control. Once per turn during your main phase, you can reveal one Guilford the Lightning, Insect Queen, Jinza, or the Legendary Fisherman in your hand. Place it on the bottom of your deck, then draw one card. These are now extra deck cards. Insect Queen and a Legendary Fisherman are not in Joey's normal deck. These, I don't think Insect Queen is such a good card that you'd really want to build around it anyway. The Legendary Fisherman is a bit of a different story. I think it's a good enough card that you might want to build a deck around it. Once per duel, you can discard one card, then add Guilford the Lightning from your deck to your hand. Then you contribute summon one warrior monster additional to your normal summoner set. This is fine. Guilford the Lightning is not a stellar card, and this is a skill that doesn't output the raw damage that his previous skill did, so it is what it is. Red Eye Inferno is kind of interesting. You contribute summon one Red Eye Black Dragon for one less tribute for each monster your opponent controls. You can discard one spell. Then apply one of the following skills. So, discarding a spell, hefty cost. And you'll notice that these effects aren't all that. If you control a Red Eyes Black Dragon, inflict 800 damage to your opponent. Also, Red Eyes Black Dragon cannot declare an attack. Off to a great start. And fusion summon one fusion monster that mentions Red Eyes Black Dragon as material, using monsters from your hand or field as material. And it can't be destroyed by opponent's card effects until the end of the turn. So the only target for this is Meteor Black Dragon, which is 3,500 attack. You have to play the vanilla Meteor Dragon, and you have to play Red Eyes Black Dragon, and this is just overall a very mediocre skill to have, especially in comparison to Yugi's skill, which lets you special summon a monster with higher attack instead of being able to normal summon or tribute with one less tribute. Kind of disappointing. This is the first time we see in this set a skill that is also a field spell. So, Odeon, if he uses Royal Temple of the Kings, is technically locked out of having a field spell. This is largely unimportant. Royal Temple of the Kings is unaffected by opponent's card effects. Mystical Beast of Circuit cannot be destroyed by its own effect. Once per turn, you can pay 500 life points, and then you can activate a continuous trap with an effect that special summons itself as a monster the turn it was sent. These are okay effects. I would say that being able to play with tempo on continuous trap monsters is okay, but continuous trap monsters also have their own set of issues. They're weak to the abundant spell trap removal in our format, and at least it's better than the other skill, which is Desert's Peril. Twice per duel, you can apply the following skill. Flip all monsters you control face down and shuffle them in your main monster zone. Then you can change the battle position of one monster you control. This skill can only be used once per turn. So, this is a skill that we haven't really seen before, or even an effect we haven't really seen before. And you can immediately trigger a flip effect. It could be extremely powerful. They added Joels of Dark Demise recently. That one's a really strong monster we can use with this effect. And being able to just, without a card, instantly get a flip summon that's not too bad. We don't have, truly powerful cards like Morphing Jar, but Duel of Dark Demise is decent. Maneater Bug is decent. Moving on. Advent of Raw. When you tribute summon the Winged Dragon of Raw, its original attack and defense become the combined attack and defense of the monsters attributed for its summon. Oh, we finally get this effect in Speed Duel. And then Raw becomes an extra card. This is a cool skill, but I don't think it pushes the envelope on Raw's playability. It doesn't really improve your chances of summoning 3 monsters, and overall, Speed Duels is not a format that's well suited to special summoning 3 monsters in one turn. The other skill is pretty interesting. Once per turn, you can give control of face monster you control to your opponent, and then if you do, it cannot be tributed. Once per duel during your opponent's end phase, you can destroy one monster your opponent controls that you own, and if you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Also, for the rest of the duel, you take no damage from cards you own. This pretty much means that if you can continuously fill up your opponent's board with kaijus and Winged Dragon, and Sphere modes, they are really out of the game. This could be a powerful, really annoying strategy to play with triple Doggeron and the Winged Dragon of Raw Sphere mode. Just gonna have to wait and see. Obviously, Lava Golem's also in the format. Tribal Unity. Harpy monsters are also treated as Amazonas monsters and vice versa while they are on the field or graveyard. Super important clause. Once per duel, you can discard a card to make one Harpy or Amazonas monster control gain attack equal to the level of the discarded monster. So, Tribal Unity is interesting because you will primarily be benefiting from the Amazonas side, since there's basically one Harpy card that says Harpy monsters on your side of the field instead of Harpy Lady. Tribal Unity, but it is a good card. Being able to play Harpy's Hunting Ground is in Amazonas is really strong. Now, Harpies, they don't get a lot of this. Amazonas are the ones who are giving a lot. This is a neat skill. I don't think it's going to make anyone build it and construct it. This is going to be really powerful in pre-constructed, though. Harpy Lady Sisters you control cannot be destroyed by opponent's monster or trap effects. Also, they gain the following effect. Once per turn, you can place 2 Wind-Winged Beast monsters from your graveyard to the bottom of the deck in any order. Then target one monster your opponent controls, return to the hand. This is an okay card. The Hexproof, it only applies to Harpy Lady Sisters, who was only 1950 attack to begin with. That's weaker than almost everything. And yeah, this is not a particularly impressive skill. The Harpy deck does look insane, so I'm not particularly worried about their viability. It's just that they are going to have to deal with some mediocre skills. No big deal, though. Now we get into some interesting skills. I think we should leave these for last, and we should have these two come up first. See Me Rolling. Once per duel, you can add 1 card with an effect that requires a die roll from your deck to your hand, then place 1 card from your hand in the bottom of your deck. Apply the following skill once per turn. When you roll a dice for a card effect, you may re-roll that result once. This is significantly better than the previous luck-based skill that we had, with the sole exception that it doesn't do anything regarding coin flips. Rolling die is a effect that's not on too many good cards that you want to play, Snipe Hunter is going to be added to the game, so that's going to be really strong. And Thunderball is going to be added to the game. That's going to be funny. But overall, I don't know how consistent this skill is going to be in the face of the many options the other decks get. Noah's Ark. Once per turn, you can add Shinado, King of the Higher Plane, or one Shinado's Ark from your deck to your hand, then place one card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. Shinado, King of a Higher Plane is basically Flame Wingman with higher attack. It is not a particularly impressive card. Apply the following skills once per turn if you control a level 5 or higher spirit monster or Shinado, King of the Higher Plane. You can add one spirit monster from your graveyard to your hand. During your turn, you can normal summon one spirit monster with the same original name as a monster that was normal summoned during your previous turn, in addition to your normal summon this turn. These skills read pretty good, but if you look at the card list, you'll notice that there's only one level 5 or higher spirit monster. And that one, if you summoned it, you probably already won. Because it's Hino Kagutsuchi. And then the only low-level spirit, the only two low-level spirits are going to be added. They are Ashura Priest and Otohime. Neither of these are particularly good to normal summon for free turn after turn. If you get both of them in rotation, maybe, but on their own, they are not incredibly impressive cards to be able to summon turn after turn. Otohime is a 0 attack monster that changes battle position of one monster on the field, and Ashura Priest attacks all opponent monsters once. So, Battle City Bestie. You take no battle damage on your turn, and once per turn during the end phase, if your opponent activates a card effect this turn, draw one card. So we have Triple Tactics Talent at home, and this is useful hypothetically for Ojamas to trigger Ojama Blue without taking damage. You're still in the issue of your opponent has to attack your empty board. During your end phase, if your opponent activates a card effect, draw one card. You can draw a Sphere Creeper off of this, maybe, but other than that, it's a card that you won't be able to see until your very next turn. And a lot of times, if your opponent activates a card or effect, it is in a way that is backbreaking. Like, being able to resolve a good Wall of Disruption is going to matter a whole lot more than one more draw from your deck. Even the odds. During your main phase, you can add one card from your deck to your hand, then place one card from your hand on the bottom of the deck. This skill can only be used once per duel. This is an amazing skill. This skill does almost everything that any deck would want. This is going to be an extremely powerful skill in any format. I do not think it will. I think it will go on the ban list. And that's going to be it. That is all of the skills. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 20 new skills. And these are going to be the entire set list for this set. This is going to be every card covered in this set. And I hope to see you, pulling this set at locals, or, God forbid, just like playing some games online. Who knows? Until next time.